Hey ladies, it's your September Crunchy Athlete Zoom call, and this week we are talking about how to incorporate your family in your exercise routine and what that should look like. And I hope to give you guys some pointers and talk about some really practical things I've done with some of my clients, especially homeschool moms who just have a hard time finding that free time to go to the gym on their own or childcare or whatever the case is. But I hope to give you guys some practical things that maybe you can consider for your own daily routines. At the end of this call, I'm going to take 5 to 10 minutes, show you guys my new branding, tell you about the vision of where I'm headed and why I'm making the switch and why I feel like this is just such an alignment with who I am and why I'm so excited about it, and how I am not ditching you ladies. You ladies are sticking around, you're staying around for a long time. It's just where you're probably asking where you fit in the whole picture. So I just want to clarify that. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's roll. Okay, so first things first is how to incorporate exercise as a family. And I think there's 3 or 4 main things that I think you need to keep in mind as you develop the culture inside your home and the culture that you're, yes, stewarding with the other things in your home that we've talked about so many times. You're stewarding the way that you make your food, you provide with food, maybe the way that you teach your kids about the Bible, or maybe the way that you steward your home or your land or your animals or whatever the case is, right? But what culture do you want to build inside your home when it comes to activity and exercise? I think a lot of us, especially as millennials or maybe even older millennials or Gen X, probably grew up in a family where their mom talked pretty poorly about their body image, um, or maybe even grew up in a household where your mom struggled with her weight. And so you are then trying to figure out your ups and downs in light of that. And it can be really tricky. And I just want to encourage you that while you may be healing in those areas, let it be a challenge to take on with your own children. What you should, the things that you should say and how you should frame things as a family just means so much. And so the first one is I just want to challenge you to lead by example. And that very much plays into my new branding and schematic of just being a leader in your home, being a leader in society. We want to lead from the front. This is a phrase that has meant a lot to me. Lead from the front, basically meaning that we want to lead by example. And your kids and your spouse absorb what they see and what they see, and maybe even the blank spaces of the things that they are not directly told. They are still absorbing those things. And so I want you to be challenged by modeling movement as a joy, as an excitement, something that you can do with them, something that you can stretch. Yourself with maybe a new skill or challenge that you're working on. And I just wanted to challenge you that leading by example is a tough feat, but it really matters, especially with kids. They admire that over the course of their life. The second thing is just your language matters. Saying things like "let's move" or "let's play outside" instead of "we need to work out," or maybe something a little bit more negative or has a negative connotation to it. Like you're comparing it to whether you can fit in your jeans or not, or you've had too much to eat, now you have to work out. Just something that's maybe a little bit less positive. And so I think that does play into the language of like it should be a fun, skill-based athletic thing. Like, hey, let's go play catch. Hey, let's go walk around the block. I'd love to hear about your day. Hey, let's go ride our bikes together. Like that matters so much more to kids and quality time with your spouse than just grinding in the gym in a hot garage. That doesn't necessarily turn out to be like the best quality time in my experience. And so being able to play, that is a key term for me. Play, play, play. And it is a running joke in my household, but my husband loves to play. He is a sports boy through and through. So if I can play with him, meaning I can play catch with him, I can go on a hike with him, we go outside and maybe we, go on a walk, or maybe we just something like that where there's quality time involved in it. He's always on board. But if I'm like, hey, let's go work out at the gym together, he's not opposed, but it's not his favorite way to spend his time, that's for sure. And so I just think playing on that, not only with your husband, but also with your kids, is really valuable. And then the third thing to kick off is just to value your value alignment within your family. And I want you to frame fitness around your family values. I think that is something that a lot of like Christian families really admire, is having values for their family and tenets and principles within their family. And so having a healthy body and maintaining a really strong appearance, and being able to have your kids also lead by example. Not that you need to put that pressure on them, but using that as an example of like, you want to be a family that people want to be attracted to for the sake of God and the kingdom and for Jesus, not necessarily for your own clout, but to be an example in the way that you model that is really powerful. And so a prompt that I want to give you is just like, what message do you want to send? Or I'm sorry, what message do we want our kids to receive when they see us move, right? What message do you want your kids to see or your spouse to see? This is not like a one for one, so take it or leave it here. But, it's really interesting. Like, when you hear Paul talk about in the New Testament, he talks about like, if a wife becomes a believer after she's married, like what should she do? Like now she's unequally yoked. Like what should she do about that? And Paul says that you woo your husband over by not even saying anything, right? It's by the way that you are an example to him in the love and the joy that just exudes from you when you're doing joyful things. And I use that as like a parallel analogy, that you can eat right and you can go on walks and you can prioritize your health without ever having to say anything. Another quote that I heard from somebody else, like on a podcast one time, is that you should live your life making people should be uncomfortable when they see your life. Like the average American should feel slightly uncomfortable when it comes to seeing you and your family and how you are modeling exercise, meaning that like you are denying the unhealthy habits, actively denying them, rather than just like rolling over and showing your belly and not doing anything about that. So want to challenge you there. Another just kind of like pillar I want you to do is incorporate your spouse with shared habits, not necessarily shared workouts. While you can absolutely do shared workouts, if you come from an athletic background, like I do, sometimes doing the exact same workout just doesn't breed the best between us. I would say that, just because we're extremely competitive, which is great. But I would much rather, if I'm going to spend time with my husband, like I want quality time with him. I don't want to compete with him. I want to challenge you to have connection through rhythms with each other, not necessarily competition or rivalry. That might be something you can point to for your own relationship. But an example would just be meet them where they're at. And that's obviously what you would want your spouse to do for you, is just meet you where you're at. And even think about that with your kids. Meet your kids where they're at. I just had an ex-client of mine mention that she just started getting her 14-year-old son into exercise. And she met him, where he was at. He wasn't very athletic, but she told him that he either needed to play a sport or he needed to work out with her at home. And so I just am really proud of her for that. But yeah, you don't need to train together necessarily as a family. Like if that's something you want to do, great. But just stay in alignment and find the shared rhythms. So maybe you have morning walks or rucks or workouts. You don't have to do the same exact thing, but maybe you have the similar time frame. Or maybe you have Saturday hikes or post dinner, dance party, which I personally love. Or maybe like a Sunday afternoon nap and walk, or just some simple examples there. You can also have like complementary roles with one another. So for example, like I hate the knick-knack paddywhacks of like the logistics of going like on a bike ride or a hike, like all the little knickknacks that I feel like I need, especially with like my hiking pack. Like I need a water bladder and gels and goos, and then I need my socks and my shoes and my body glide and my heart rate strap. Like those are just knickknacks, and I hate that. So if I can like lean on my husband to do all the knickknacks, but then I am maybe planning the route, or maybe I am getting dinner prepped ahead of time. It just feels like you're in alignment, but you're not necessarily doing the exact same role. And so you could kind of even it out there. And then lastly, within this particular topic is just obviously celebrate your consistency with each other. You can create rituals with each other, like working out on Sundays together after church, or maybe you have a family competition. I had another friend do like this is not their last name, but like the Smith family 400-meter run. And for a month, they trained to get better and faster at their 400-meter run that they found at the local track by their house. And so it was like kind of like a fun family competition where they kept track of like how they each got better at that race. And I thought that was so fun. And you can choose literally anything. You could choose how many goals you make in the net. You can choose how fast it takes you to do this. I mean, there's endless things that you can do, but if your family needs play and competition, then that's a great way to do it. So a prompt I want to give you is like what is like one small ritual or like rhythm that you can make that's a shared value in your family or in your marriage. I think that could be really beneficial. And then when it comes to kids specifically, I want you to invite your kids into moving with you. I did on the email today, I shared that one of my past clients is a homeschool mom. She's very popular on Instagram. She has a thriving community. She has, PDFs. She has a podcast. She has all these things going on, but she just like really needed an exercise routine. And so she was like, I have like limited funds. I want to buy a couple pieces of equipment, but I cannot swing going to a gym. I just don't live in an area where I can go to a gym. So I basically, she hired me out for a consultation and I wrote her out, 8 weeks of training that pertained to only the equipment that she had, bands, a couple dumbbells, soft medicine ball, a monkey bar outside, which we turned into a pull-up bar. And it worked out really well. But something that was like a testimony to her was that we used walking, rucking, free things that she can do on her own as a backbone of just creating those rhythms in the first place. And then we tweaked what she did in those rhythms as we went. And so if you are a homeschool mom, for example, because I know I have a lot of you, that'd be a great example of like, okay, at 10 a.m. every day, you have PE with your kids. And maybe you one day are teaching them hopscotch or jumping rope. Or maybe you do a dance video on YouTube, or maybe you teach them a new movement in the garage because that's what you have programmed for that day. All I'm saying is that I want to challenge you to take back the responsibility for laying that foundation of fitness with your kids. And then really heavily leaning on the play aspect of the strength and conditioning. But some quick reminders of like just different movements by age and what some of those focal points should be. For very young kids and toddlers, it should always be very primal movements. So I talk about like crawling, rolling, doing little, somersaults, roly-polies, animal style movements. So like bear crawls and balance beams and hopping and like chasing and tag, all those types of movements and natural play that kids want to do on a playground anyways is amazing and perfect. They are trying to focus on like proprioception, so like where they are in space and what their body's doing. Their body is taking in so much sensory information, like at a playground, for example, of them like jumping off of a step, and then they're gaining trust on that step. So then eventually, as they get higher and higher, and they're jumping off higher and higher steps, they have kind of that risk assessment evaluation going on in their brain because they know what their body did last time, and so that's just creating a really good foundation for young kids. Elementary age kids, things like little challenges like carrying groceries, who can carry the most groceries, who can do the most push-ups or bike rides, a little bit tougher skill-based items like riding bikes, maybe playing catch, maybe get them a lacrosse stick. They have to score goals, kick a soccer ball. Those are all great things. And should be done anyways, even if it's not in a formal sport capacity. Like they don't have to play, at a city league. Like it could just be you playing catch out back. But things like that are really important. And so I want to challenge you moms to go out and play catch with your kids. when it comes to teens and kids that are entering into puberty and post-puberty, invite them into your actual workouts. There are no contraindications for kids and teens to be strength training. It's always focused on form first, but once the form is down, there's no contraindications to progressive overload. So I want to challenge you guys to do that as well as invite them into your gym. And it's not for performing aspects, but it's to make sure that they feel like they belong there and you can encourage them. And again, it's just another touch point with kids, especially teens. It's another touch point to encourage them and be excited with them, and have quality time with them. Um, Another aspect of that is just like you taking ownership. Another way of just saying take back the responsibility for your family's fitness routine. And maybe let your older kids dictate, like your family fitness challenge, as an example that I gave earlier. Maybe pick an activity for the day and see like who's the best at it or who can do the most at it or whatever. But you always want to make a positive association with fitness with them. So you want to link movement, with a connotation of something good and exciting. A very simple example of that is like if you create a family rhythm of going on walks after dinner, which I love, that can be creating a gratitude moment. So basically, we played this a lot when I was like in college, or an icebreaker. It's called Happy Crappy. I don't know if you guys use the word crappy in your family, but Happy Crappy, best part of your day, worst part of your day. Or you can say something that you're thankful for. You could say something like you could pick a family. I had another family growing up that did this. They saved all of their Christmas cards during the Christmas season. And then every single night when they had dinner or when they would go on a walk, they would pick one family's Christmas card and they would pray for that family that night at dinner or on a walk or whatever they were doing as part of their family rhythms. But lastly, like I just want to prompt you guys on this one is like, how can we make exercise feel like an invitation to your spouse and your kids, not an obligation, and what you can do to just set them up for success there. Okay, I'm going to do a quick pause and get my branding all pulled up. Alrighty, let's go ahead and shuffle on over. Let's see, screen share. Can I not screen share anymore? Hmm. Sorry, guys. Give me one sec. There we go. Alrighty, friends. Here is my new branding. I'm very excited about it. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because I feel like in the age of 2020 and the boom of women figuring out that everything was poisoning them, and current research on health and fitness was on men, there was an absolute surge and saturation of female fitness content. And I did not feel like um, I, I definitely went that direction with More and Co. Also, the name of that was on a whim. It's not something I thought about. Again, my full-time job is I'm working with people here at a military installation. So, I didn't give a lot of thought to that, but I've had some fun success, which is great. So now I'm just creating a brand that is definitely a reflection of who I am through and through. Um, and so what I want to, what I'm pulling from all of my interactions with my clients, whether that's from my military members on base or you ladies on this membership or a person I'm talking to, the biggest thing that I want people to feel when they are strong and they're taking on big goals and challenges is that I want them to feel like a champion. I want them to feel like they are conquering something huge. I want them to feel victorious in the things that they're doing. And so I took all of that language, regardless of my client. That's, I think, how does I communicate that? I gave that to my graphic designer and we built out this brand. And so what I want to show you is basically, you know, this brand that transcends kind of that female fitness space. It's a brand that takes on more male clients, which 95% of my clients on the day to day are male. And so I was having a hard time being really excited and proud of my online network that I was creating because it just didn't reflect enough of a masculine edge to be a reflection of me professionally at work. And so now I'm creating something that I think bridges that gap, and I'm really excited about it. And so what am I doing? KelseyMoore.com. That's what it's changing to. KelseyMoore.com. I'm a performance coach for real world leaders. And what that means is, like I said before, we should be leading from the front. We should be leading by example. We should be feeling like we're conquering something big. We should feel like a champion, and I hope you feel like I'm championing you into something, into greatness, whether that's in fitness or whether that's in your home or whether that's in your food journey. I want you to feel like you're on top of the world. Pun very much intended. And so this is my main logo. This is my main flag icon here. And that obviously is a flag on top of the world, symbolizing conquering, victory, championing, all those good things. And then just like my own personal, identifiers here. And so we have some new color schemes, which I'm sure you guys have picked up on Instagram. Coyote brown, which is funny because it's like definitely a military color, the coyote brown, but also this tan is like the quintessential like beige girl online. So I'm like, I can go with a cream. Flare, orange. I'm not really like a totally like an orange girl, but the orange will definitely make sense in the new branding. And then fog is like a light cream, like you can barely see that. So what's happening is I'm actually within the next week or two going to take my current website down, and it's going to go under construction for like 3 to 4 weeks. I will put a newsletter like subscriber link on my website. Like if you go to kelseymoore.com, it will just be like, we're under construction. But if you have any problems with your membership or if you have a question with me, I did link my email there. So you would just send me a direct email for the next 3 to 4 weeks before we launch. The plan is that my website will be under construction from like October 1st-ish to October 20th-ish. And then final edits from the 20th through November 1st. And then I'm hoping to have my new website launched like November 6th or 7th, because I have a big presentation I'm giving on November 8th. So I want everything to be ready then and succinct and all of it streamlined and congruent. And I'm very excited about it. What this means for you ladies is nothing is changing. Nothing's changing. I'm keeping Crunchy Athlete membership. I'm going to basically just add a couple more things of just like ways to apply as a personal one-on-one client. And I don't know if I've mentioned this in like other Zoom calls, so I apologize if this is like the first time you're hearing this, but long story short, like just personally, family life wise, my husband might have a potential to move in the next couple of months, for his job. And also we are discussing family planning. And so with those two things in mind, I'm trying to create a more flexible online work environment for me to take on clients full time. But I am taking on performance clients. And so there will be a link for eventually when my website launches, a link for an application to become my client. And what I mean by performance client is that you have a goal in mind. You have a goal, you're hard charging towards something difficult, it's slightly out of reach. You need a coach to come alongside you to share that burden and plan everything out for you. That is the type of coach I am, and I want to take that on with you. But I also will be offering consultations. So if you need like a body composition consultation, like you want to improve your body composition, then I will offer consultations, most likely keeping the Crunchy Athlete program. And I'm probably going to also be creating like a co-ed male and female membership as well. Eventually, like down the road, these are things that I'm working on happening. Bringing the podcast back, ideally at the beginning of the new year. I'm going to share the name of that podcast now. It's called Muscle Memory. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be very candid like this, just me talking to you because I need an outlet to yap away. And you guys know I love yapping at this point. So, yeah, lots of good things. Nothing changes for you guys specifically. You're just going to see some adjustments in the color schemes, the logos. I'm going to be just slowly dropping those things out on the email chain. But per usual, I appreciate you guys sticking around through all the changes. Ideally, we're going to grow and we're going to nurture these memberships alongside. I'm hiring on a couple people to work with me a little bit more permanently. With all of this, so I'm hoping to get it a little bit more rhythmic and regular. And just making it really streamlined for you guys. So I appreciate you guys just sticking around. But in the meantime, if you guys have a question, you can send me an email. It's kelsey@heyomoreandco.com. That email's changing soon, but I am keeping that email for a while. Kelsey, so KELSEE at HEYYOMOOREANDCO.com. Kelsey@heyomoreandco.com. To edit your membership, ask me questions. If you have any concerns about the rebrand, let me know. But here we are. Okay. Have a wonderful night. I am going to log off, watch episode 3 of Dancing with the Stars, and enjoy my night alone. My husband is gone this week. So have a wonderful night. Love you, ladies. Been praying for you all, and have a great night.